Good morning. How you doing? It's almost 8 o'clock in the morning here on a Thursday, November 7. How you doing? A lot of snow in Colorado and New Mexico too. We'll talk about that a lot. Heavy rain for Texas, and that'll be moving into the plains. And eventually, even the East Coast will get in on the action. And Hurricane Rafael, not bugging too many people, so we'll update you on that. And then what else do we have? Oh yeah, maybe some snow here in western Iowa in 2 weeks. So I mean, it's far enough out that there's a lot of doubt. And I'm gonna do something a little bit different today too. So we're gonna go pretty much live, kind of. So I'm just gonna go and dial up the maps that I normally dial up, and I'm just gonna do it here in a browser. Some advantages to that I can point. So I like that. So we'll start out with our weather spotlight here in Pueblo, Colorado, National Weather Service, and they're doing the most likely snowfall amounts from tonight into Saturday. This is massive. So Trinidad, 2 to 3 feet. You get out into the plains, even a couple feet of snow. Up here in the Rockies, of course, that's where we're going to see really big amounts, massive amounts. But this is most of the state. I mean, we're getting up into Colorado Springs, half a foot to a foot. Just amazing. You get over into southwest part of Colorado, 8 to 15 inches for Wolf Creek Pass, for example. I mean, just wax your skis. It is time to go skiing, if that's your thing. And then I pulled up a radar here. So this is the whole country. And we can see Rafael here off the Florida coast, moving into the Gulf, where it should mostly stay. It's going to approach Louisiana. Doesn't look like it's going to move into Louisiana, but some of the moisture, of course, will be getting into the lower 48. We're seeing a little bit of heavy rain in Georgia, South Carolina. We talked about that yesterday with the flooding concerns here. A little bit of rain, West Virginia, Kentucky, into Tennessee, Memphis getting wet, a little bit of Arkansas. Some of the rain here in West Texas, but this is mostly snow for New Mexico and Colorado. A little bit of rain here for, say, Las Cruces into El Paso, but it transitions into snow when you get into the Sacramento Mountains and most of the northern half of New Mexico, and of course the heaviest right now into Colorado. Maybe some rain out here in Kansas in the plains, but maybe some snow too. And so then we go, let's see if I hit the right tab. There we go. So this is which one do I have here? Right here, GFS. So I don't want to start with the GFS. What I want to do is show you where I usually get these forecasts from. So this is your hazards for today. And so we see a little bit of stuff going on the West Coast, some fog in Oregon. We're looking at red flag warnings here for California. Here's the key down here. Freeze warnings for parts of Nevada, lots of Arizona. This cold air is just, the big trough over the west has brought the cold air all the way down to the Mexican border. So freeze warnings down here for parts of Arizona. Wind issues still, Southern California too, with this big trough. Flooding concerns, Texas, Oklahoma. Some fog this morning. We have a little bit of light fog earlier. It's kind of starting to burn off already. We're in the upper 30s here in western Iowa. Some fog up here as well in the upper Midwest. And then here's your flooding concerns we just looked at with the radar here into Georgia and South Carolina with even a flood warning here. Flash flood warning right here. And then, of course, here's our big winter storm, and it is massive. So much of New Mexico, much of Colorado, we are looking at winter storm warnings and some winter weather advisories around the edges and even a winter storm watch up here towards Denver, Boulder. So that's what's going on with the hazards. Then we go back over to our forecast tab and let's pull up, let's do our highs and lows. Here are the highs today. You can see how cold it is around that low. Just a big dip in the jet stream here. And so the warm stuff, further to the south and east, 70s and 80s here, southeast, all the way up into like Massachusetts, 70s and some 60s. So quite warm in the northeast. We're going to fix that, but it's going to be a little bit kind of warm on the west coast too, 60 for Seattle or for Portland and Eugene, 60s here in California, but even 58 for Tucson. So this morning was 37 in Tucson, warmer than my 39 here in Harlan. We'll be in the 50s today. We can go through, let's see, minimum temperatures. Will this be tomorrow morning? So tomorrow morning ending at 7 a.m. Eastern. See how cold it is all the way down to the Mexican border, and then how warm it is still in the southeast. And again, we're going to fix that. Temperatures tomorrow looking like this, moderating a little bit with our low, but still cold, obviously, where it's snowing, especially with elevation. We're going to see more rain moving out into the plains, and eventually this weekend up into the Midwest and then further to the east. So your high temperatures still quite warm across the southeastern United States. Then we get into, these will be highs for Saturday. And we should save the weekend forecast for maybe a little bit later. But we see warmer temperatures bulging northward into the Ohio Valley in the Midwest. So, we got 60s and 70s for Kentucky and for Tennessee, respectively, 70s and 80s as you head towards the Gulf Coast and into Florida. And a little cooler northeast, 40s, some 30s, and then a little bit cooler northwest, not much. All right, let's do Sunday, might as well round out the weekend. So here are your Sunday temperatures. And warming up a little bit in the plains and into the Ohio Valley, cooling off a little bit for parts of the Northeast. Widespread 50s here now instead of like 60s and 70s. So a little cooler, but still well above average. And then 70s persisting in the Southeast, so it's slightly cooler here. Florida still warm. Warming up a little bit in the desert Southwest as our low starts to pull away. And so warming up a little bit for the southwestern U.S. All right, where do we want to go next? We can go to the forecast tab. Let's check out, I want to check out the severe weather. And this is cool. It gives me the 8-day panel, right? And you can see after day 3, it's too far out to really predict anything. But the first 3 days, so let's zoom in here on day 1, categorical. And here we see our biggest risk for the slight risk into Texas here. Say Midland, Odessa right here. You go south to Del Rio down here. This is your slight risk. The marginal risk, which is not a big risk, but here's Lubbock, here's Fort Worth, here's San Antonio, and pretty much inside that dark green circle. Will there be tornadoes? Well, I don't know, but maybe. We go from Dallas, Fort Worth, all the way down to San Antonio. Now, really cool. We can take a closer look. So let's go to our regional and go to the Texas, the south central U.S. We can take a closer look at our 2% tornado risk. So Dallas, Fort Worth, right down I-35. So the I-35 corridor, which includes Waco and Austin and Schlitterbahn and all the way down to almost San Antonio is our 2% chance of our risk of tornadoes. This is day 2. So this is tomorrow. How did I do that? Here's today, your tornado risk. So I did jump ahead. Today's tornado risk, the southern South Plains. So it's Lubbock and the South Plains. When I was doing TV here, that was our viewing area. And so the southern part of the South Plains, so like La Mesa, down the I-20 corridor, then further, or is that I-10? It's I-20. Okay. This is I-10 down here. So I-10 too, and then further to the south. All right, I messed that up a little bit. So today's categorical for Texas. Today's tornado for Texas, only 2% risk. Tomorrow's categorical for Texas, and this is our marginal risk, pretty big area here. The lighter green is just general thunderstorms. And then tomorrow's tornado risk, Dallas-Fort Worth down to San Antonio, which includes Austin. And then the categorical for day 3, we're going to have to zoom back out. And I can't see past my phone. That's part of the issue here. So I'm driving on my smaller monitor that's being actually recorded. But anyway, here's your slight risk for, what day is this? For Saturday. And really no severe risk. This is just where the general thunderstorms will be. All right. This is kind of fun doing this live like this. I like it. All right. Let's go back to our forecast tab. What's next? Let's check out our 48-hour precipitation. First of all, it just goes to the excessive rainfall. So here's our excessive rainfall for today. So a lot of Texas into Oklahoma, and then also our Georgia, South Carolina bubble here. Here's where I get the 48-hour precipitation map. And so we've got the key down here. And you can see when you get into the browns, this is Rafael in the Gulf. And we're talking, up to 8 inches of rain in the Gulf. Little fresh water for your salt water. How about that? All right, here we go. For Georgia, South Carolina, this is up to a couple inches here, according to the key. And then this big area, rain and snow. So snow back here. So when you're talking, 2 inches of precipitation in this area right here, that's 2 feet of snow. So if you 10-to-1 liquid to frozen equivalent. And it's probably wet enough snow that's probably going to be 10-to-1, except in the mountains, maybe it'll be even more. But so 2 feet of snow here, possible. And then you get into Oklahoma, you get into this yellow and even the brown. This is 4 to 5 inches right here. And then this area right here, we'll call that up to 3.5, looks like. So a lot of rainfall for this area. All right, what is next? Let's see on the forecast thing. Usually, I save the 6 to 10 day stuff for last, but let's take a quick peek. So here's the 6 to 10 day outlook for temperatures. This area here below average, or above average chance of below average temperatures, and the rest of the country an above average chance of above average temperatures, and that certainly looks to be the case. Well, while we're here, let's look at the 8 to 14, see if there's not much change in the trend. Still colder than average west, warmer than average east. Precipitation wise, 6 to 10. This is good news. I mean, this is a lot of the country above average chances of above average precipitation, especially northwest. Kind of an El Nino thing. I'm sorry, a La Nina thing. 8 to 14. Again, big area of above average precipitation. So pretty good. I want to look at the GFS because this is pretty fun. I mentioned that there is a chance for a snowstorm here in Nebraska into Iowa, and that wouldn't be until the 20th, so 2 weeks away. But let's take a look. So we're going to put this on the forecast loop. And see, this is when I put my cursor up here and the map jumps. If you've noticed that the last few days, that's what I've been trying to avoid and I haven't been able to avoid. So we can zoom through this really fast, which I enjoy doing sometimes, and just kind of get the idea of what's happening. 1, 2, 3, 4 storms. And then our big blizzard, which is not looking so blizzardy for North Dakota anymore. Uh-oh. I clicked on something wrong. There we go. All right. This is the fun of live TV, live on tape. All right, so let's go back to the beginning, and we'll just go through this morning and today. And here's your heavy snow in New Mexico, Colorado, rain out here in the southern plains. Here's Rafael down here, another storm system approaching the northwest. I just made the thing jump. All right, back to the beginning. So here's your time stabs here. Thursday, 18Z minus 6. This is noon central, about-ish. And this afternoon, still snowing hard, southeastern Colorado especially, northern New Mexico especially, raining hard, West Texas into Oklahoma. This takes us into tonight. Heavy rainfall for parts of Oklahoma. Remember our swath here of 4 inches plus possible, and we're seeing it on the GFS. Heavy rain up here in the Panhandle too, transitioning to snow back into New Mexico. And more heavy rain, Oklahoma. This is getting us into early Friday morning. So this is Friday morning, Oklahoma just getting soaked. It looks, I mean, I would, yeah, there's going to be some flooding problems here, it looks like, if this comes true. Getting into Kansas now, too. And don't forget, Texas still getting wet. And then the snow pops back up again as this low strengthens some more. And on the backside, more heavy snow for eastern Colorado into New Mexico. This is Friday around noon Central Time. And here's Rafael out in the Gulf hurting nobody. And so, I mean, this is our big player. Heavy rain now moving into Kansas. Heavy snow persisting into Colorado as we get into Friday night. This gets us to midnight Friday night. still snowing, but we're starting to see our low lift northward into the plains. So rain now moving into Nebraska, into eastern Kansas. We're starting to see some heavier showers here, Mississippi, Tennessee, near Memphis. Some rain for Arkansas, Louisiana, as Rafael, some of that moisture getting caught up in here, getting pulled into the low. And so as the low lifts northward, where did we leave off? This is midnight Friday. Then we're moving into Saturday morning. Rain showers for me in western Iowa. Yay. Also into Nebraska, Missouri, and Rafael, again, feeding some moisture into all of this. Still snowing in Colorado Saturday. And that low lifts and weakens a little bit, and the snow ends in Colorado finally by Saturday midday, and we still see some rain showers now and some storms busting out now into Illinois. Rafael getting pulled, moisture getting pulled out of it. No landfall for a tropical system itself, but enhancing the moisture out ahead of the low as it moves now into the Ohio Valley, into the Tennessee Valley, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, all the way up into the Great Lakes. Weaker system for the Northwest, spreading some light rain and snow here. And then we see East Coast, you've been dry, you've been boring. So we're going to bring some rain your way. How about that? Into Pennsylvania, New York State. This gets us into Sunday. And then we get into Sunday night as that rain spreads east. But it's rain, not snow. And we see our dual lows up here in Canada and a new system for the Pacific Northwest. So some heavy rain here and some snow up around the Canadian border. But we're going to see some cold air dive in behind this low. This gets us into Monday morning here. And so as that low moves eastward, a little bit of cool air getting into cold air, I say coldish air getting into the Great Lakes, and that's going to eventually move into parts of the Northeast. So you've been warm. It's been unusually warm. Some of you aren't happy about that. We'll bring a little bit of coolness for you. Meanwhile, our Pacific Northwest storm spreading some scattered snow showers inland with rain along the coast. This is Tuesday afternoon. Cooler air for New England, especially northern New England. And we're seeing some light snow in here, the Rockies. Relatively quiet as we get into Wednesday morning. But we are seeing some cold air now diving behind this low in Canada. Cold air. Here's our 540 line getting into Nebraska. Some rain showers out ahead of a cold front that's forming. And so some more rain for western Iowa. Yay! Into Minnesota and Wisconsin. Another system approaching the Pacific Northwest. We're into November 13th. Cold air spreading into the upper Midwest. Eventually the Great Lakes. And yes, eventually the East Coast. This is not going to make it's not going to go real far south, not the coldest air, but here's our cold front. So, I mean, it is getting in as far south as Texas, the cooler air. And then we see our front, another storm system for the Pacific Northwest. This low lifts into Canada, the snow with it. Some of the Great Lakes, and see, I made it jumped again. Some of the Great Lakes getting in on some of that snow. And we're starting to see a little bit of snow in New England, but mostly it's rain with this cold front, but bringing colder air into the Northeast. Finally, you're welcome, but not till the 14th. So this is like noontime 14th afternoon. Rain showers moving off, a little bit of lingering snow in the Northeast. Things quiet down. I'm going to move a little faster now as we're getting into the land of uncertainty. We warm back up in the plains, by the way. This is Sunday the 17th. We're 3 days away from our snowstorm for western Iowa. What are we talking about here? Where we're going to see, well, first of all, this low forming into the Great Lakes, some rain showers down here, Tennessee Valley, into the Virginias. This low staying off the coast, kind of unusual behavior there, falling straight southward. But we're going to see a storm form in the Rockies. There it is on the 19th. More snow for Colorado, now moving into Nebraska and South Dakota, a little bit of New Mexico. And as we get into the 20th, this is midnight, Tuesday night, the 19th, snow, heavy snow, Kansas, into Nebraska. Heavy rain in western Iowa, much of Iowa, northern Kansas, into Minnesota and Wisconsin. As this low lifts northward, that snow moves eastward, and there it is. I'm holding out hope. This is too far out to say with any certainty that this will happen, but will I get a burst of snow the morning of Wednesday, November 20th? Maybe. And behind it, cold air spilling southward. And then just as soon as it starts snowing, it ends and moves into the Great Lakes. But that 540 line gets all the way into Kansas, moving southward and eastward. Cold front forming now a week before Thanksgiving. So again, too far out to have any certainty. As colder air, finally, Great Lakes into the east, all the way down into the mid-Atlantic here. And another storm system moving onshore for the Pacific Northwest. And we get to the end of our run here on the 23rd, and with another storm system for the Pacific Northwest and California. I'm not sure where to go next. Let's check out some anomaly temperatures because we can do that. This is down here, and this gets us to our anomaly map. Now, here's how I usually pick those. So this is the current temperature anomalies, really cold west, really warm southeast and east. And then I hover over, this would be, what's tomorrow? Thursday. So here's tomorrow, noontime central. Cold air around that low for the four corners, still warm east and south, and warm air intruding into the northern plains. Then let's see, let's go Friday. So that's Friday. Cold pocket of air moving into West Texas and into Kansas as well. Warmer further south in the northern plains, upper Midwest, and still warm southeast, mid-Atlantic, and east. Let's check out Saturday real quick. Here's Saturday, moderating a little bit, so this colder air warming some, near average where I live on Saturday. Very warm, though, for North Dakota into Montana, and very warm for the southeast. And then, to round out the weekend, let's go with Sunday. And our cold pocket is moderating enough to where it's near normal. But this is going to be snowpack here. So it's going to stay cold with that snowpack because it's not going to melt very fast. A couple feet of snow is going to hang around. And getting cooler here for the East Coast on Sunday. Warmer for the plains and warm into the Midwest and the Great Lakes, and the Southeast still slightly above average for the West Coast. I don't know. What do you think of this new format? I don't know. It's kind of fun, at least to have a pointer. It might be a little more disjointed. I don't know. But let me know in the comments what you think. We're 23 minutes in, so it didn't shorten things at all. If anything, probably made it a little bit longer. But that's your forecast through the weekend, guaranteed, or your time back and beyond, of course. Will it snow in western Iowa on the 20th? We'll see. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate you, and we'll see you next time on the Weather Mic.